Good evening. My name is Fleur. I work at the International Labour Organization in Brussels, and I am joined today by Luis Frota. He is a senior social security expert, and he works in the Decent Work team that looks after Southern and Eastern Africa. Luis, welcome. My first question would be, how many people work in the informal economy?
So if you take sub-Saharan Africa, it's about 74% of non-agricultural workers working in the informal economy. But among these, you have about 80% who work in the informal sector and 20% who work in the formal sector, in the organized sector. So these would be the casual workers, contract workers who are not adequately covered, despite being in the formal sector. So the majority is still your self-employed worker who has absolutely no protection, works in the unorganized sector, and has maybe any sort of the companies are not registered, don't pay taxes, have no social security contributions.
Thank you. You mentioned the agricultural sector. Are there any other sectors that are particularly vulnerable?
So these, usually you find among the informal sector sectors such as the trade, transport, but increasingly you see also increasing marginalization and vulnerabilities in what used to be formal modern sectors, but increasing informalization because of sort of outsourcing and increasing precarious links to the labor market through all sorts of cascading of responsibilities to third parties. And so this is becoming, even in Africa, a subject of concern.
Okay, thank you. How do you think the SDGs can contribute to people moving into decent work, into decent jobs?
So there are a number of SDGs that contribute to decent jobs, which for the ILO are jobs that provide employment, sufficient employment with social protection, social dialogue, and respect of labor standards, core labor standards such as prevention of child labor and other core fundamental rights at work. So the first one is obviously the objective number one. The target 1.3 is to provide comprehensive social protection for all, including social protection floors. So this should contribute definitely to reduction and minimization of poverty. And indicators should be defined nationally, and national strategies need to be developed when there are none. A number of countries are developing such strategies or policies, including with the support of UN partners. There are UN partners at the national level advising governments to develop such policies for extending social protection to meet the SDG goals. So it's a motivation, and you've got also the ability, once you have a statistic and indicator framework to measure progress, I'm sure member states will be able to compare the progress over time and compare experiences between countries to see how countries have and why countries have made more progress than others. I think it will be helpful. So our task is really, as let's say, partners in development to share the knowledge, to facilitate access to information, to assist technically, look at the best solutions, and also to foster social dialogue, because these are sovereign decisions of member states, of constituents. They involve national decisions, prioritizations, and we can be, as ILO, a brokerage institution to facilitate dialogue.
Thank you. Just one last question. We just had a session on the informal economy. We were joined by the European Commission, amongst other speakers. Are there any lessons that you learned? Is there one message that you take away from that session?
Yes, I think you have, as we said before, a large number of workers in the informal economy. And what we realize is that there are not many projects, not many interventions dealing with transition to the formal economy, actually. Donors traditionally and partners traditionally look at those in extreme poverty, which is a very important objective. They also sometimes work more with formal systems of protection. But those who are in the informal economy don't benefit. And when I'm talking about social protection, the same holds for example, mechanisms for VET, skills, enhancing skills. The informal economy workers, which constitute the majority, are not adequately covered by public measures. And donors are not present in supporting them. So I think the lesson is that we really need to look at those that constitute the majority of the workforce, and how can we innovate to really bring solutions to empower also the economy workers themselves, the informal economy workers themselves, to be part of the solution, to trust the government to work with them, and for government to to go down to those sectors where we find those workers, and to really see how because they contribute to the economy, how can they be actually supported to formalize, which is the end objective, because once they are recognized, they are properly registered, they can benefit from a lot of measures that are available to the common citizen.
Thank you very much, Luis.
Thanks so much.